Hey, it's Steve with Driveway Diesel. We're going to be changing the oil in a 2014 Ford F350 SuperDuty. So this will apply to any Ford SuperDuty truck, year model 2011 to 2016. It'll be a quick down and dirty explanation of how to change the oil. Okay, the first thing we're going to be doing is removing the oil drain plug. So this is going to be your oil drain plug here. It's a 16 millimeter. It'll require 16 millimeter. Just standard depth socket will work, or you could use a 16 millimeter wrench. This is going to be the oil filter we'll be messing with later. Just remember, when you pull this plug, you've got about 13 quarts, a little over 13 quarts of oil that are going to come chugging out of here, and it sprays it pretty far, so make sure your oil catch has plenty of room to catch that. So we'll just start here. And try hard not to get your oil plug into your drain pan. So we're going to let that drain for a few minutes. Okay, while the oil is draining, the next thing we need to start thinking about is taking off this oil filter. So this oil filter has about a quart of oil in it, and if you go ahead and just start spinning it off, it will start spewing out oil. It may go everywhere, it may get on your driveway, whatever work surface you're using. You're just going to take any filter wrench that will fit your filter, and you'll just completely unscrew your filter. Let's get it started with the filter wrench. Once it's started, you'll be able to finish it by hand. And you'll see here, there's only a little bit of oil. So as we finish it off here, hold your filter well, just drop that down in your oil. Okay, after we've got everything drained, we've got the oil drained, we've got the filter off, and that's completing draining here. Clean up your oil plug. Just get a shop towel, clean that up a little bit. Next thing I like to do is a little trick, is use some plumber's Teflon tape just to make sure there's no oil leaks in between oil changes. So you'll just wrap that around the threads nice and tight. It's not something you have to do. This is just something I choose to do to alleviate any potential small oil leaks. So we're going to clean this area up really good. So clean that up, make sure there's no more oil on there. Pop the plug in, keep that area nice and dry, free from oil. Then we're going to take, once we're done with that, we're going to take our 16 millimeter socket. We're going to tighten that back down. Keep a rag up there, because you'll still continue to have oil come out until it gets tight. And don't go cranking on it. Doesn't need to be too tight. Just tight enough to make sure it seats down. Clean that off, and we'll check this for leaks later on after we fill it back up with oil. Keep that nice and clean. Okay, next thing what we're going to do is we're going to prep our oil filter. We're not just going to throw this filter in dry. We need to do a little preparation of it. You can choose to use whatever filter you like. I like these Motorcraft oil filters. They seem to work well for me. So you'll take it out and just flip it over with the opening on top. What we're going to do here is we're going to fill it with about a quart of oil. It holds about a quart of oil, so we're going to fill it with that to pre-fill it, to kind of pre-prime the system. In my situation, I just happen to be using Amsoil. I'm a big fan of Amsoil, but you can use whichever oil you like best. And we're just going to slowly and fill this up. You can fill it up, leave it for a few minutes while you're doing some other things on the truck, and let the filter media in there absorb the oil. This is also a good time while you're doing it to go ahead and get a little bit of that fresh oil on your finger and put that on the gasket here. You don't want to use a dry gasket. That will make sure that everything seals nice and good like it should. Okay, I've let this sit for a few minutes. I'm going to come back and top it off a little bit more. And that seems to be pretty darn full there. Okay, this is about done. So just take a shop towel, clean this contact surface up real well if you can. This is a great time to do that. Make sure the filter has a good, clean surface to mate to. Clean off any other things you see around the edge. You're going to take your primed filter, just toss that up there, spin it on, keep spinning. You want to go hand tight. Both your hands, see what you can do with it, and that will mate a leak free. That's all you have to do. You don't need to turn it any more than that. Clean up this area a little bit. We're done down here for now, and we're going to move to the top side. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove our oil cap, and we're going to fill this with oil from the top side here. Okay, it's probably going to be easiest to use a funnel. So just pop your funnel in there. The oil capacity on these 6.7s, these 6.7 diesels, is 13.1 quarts, so basically 13 quarts. We're just going to fill it up from the top side here. And I like to leave each of these resting upside down for maybe 30 seconds or so to get every last drop of that oil, especially when you're using some expensive synthetics like this Amsoil. Okay, we're about halfway through adding oil here. About 5 quarts have been added now. If you like to add additives to your oil, now's the time to do it, about halfway through putting in your oil. I prefer to run this Hot Shot Secret Stiction Eliminator in every oil change. Now this truck, this will be the first time it's being treated, so they suggest that you put 4 ounces of the Stiction Eliminator per quart of oil. So in this case with 13 quarts, that's going to be 52 ounces. So we're just going to eyeball it. This comes in a 64-ounce container. If you put a little more, not a problem. If you put a little less, not a problem either. This stuff is just like oil. So if you put more, if I put this whole bottle in here, it wouldn't really matter. But we're going to try to aim for what they suggest, which is 52 ounces in this situation. Now remember, that's 2 less quarts of oil you need to put in. So make sure you hold back those 2 quarts of oil if you are adding any additives. And it looks like we need about 7 more ounces in here for the initial treatment on this. After this, they just recommend 2 ounces per quart, so we'll be able to save half. And that puts us about where we need to be. We'll just throw 1 extra shot in there for good measure, why not? And we'll continue filling with oil after this. Okay, so once we've filled it up with oil, we're going to take our funnel out. Careful not to drip anywhere so you don't get any burnt oil smell from anything. And we're going to put our cap back on and we're going to start up the truck. Once we start up the truck, we're going to let the truck run for about 5 minutes just to get it through there. In that process of letting it run, we're going to go down below and check for any oil leaks. Okay, so like I said, we're going to let this run for about 5 minutes, get all the oil and the oil additive mixed up, flowing through the system. While we're waiting for that to happen, we're going to go below and check for oil leaks. Okay, we're back down below. We're going to check for some leaks down here. We want to check two places. We're going to check for the oil drain plug and we're going to check for the oil filter. So around here, we're going to feel that. There's no oil left over there, so that's a good sign. Around the oil filter, we want to feel around the entire edge of it to make sure that's good and sealed. There's no oil there, that's just some dirt on my fingers. So we've done a successful job on that. We're going to let this run for a few more minutes and then we'll close everything up and finish off. Okay, we've let the truck run for about 5 or 6 minutes. Now we just want to check the oil level and we'll be done. So you always want to pull the dipstick, give it a good first wipe, put that dipstick back in there. Let some of the oil settle down into the pan. And let's take a look. And it's kind of hard to see, but we are right in the middle there. We are right where we need to be. If we can get the camera to focus right here, we're right in the center right there. So we're right where we need to be. Okay, so that's about sums it up. That's how you change the oil in a 2011 to 2016 Ford SuperDuty. We worked on a Ford F350 today to change the oil on that. So if you like the content, if this helped you out at all, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like the video. Please go ahead and comment with any questions or any critiques you may have of the video or the process, and I'll respond to each and every one of those.